as we heal trauma, we're able to hold more complexities. So, the young in us wants to know it's good, it's bad, it's this side or that side, it's individual, collective. And that was needed when we were young to orient. But there's something about also in conflicts that there's so much complexity to hold, to relate. I don't know if there's something you want to.
That's the point. In maturation, the more mature myself becomes, and the more wise I become in life, because I can include more of life in the way I live, the more I can hold many different levels of gray. It's not only black or white, it's not only right or wrong. I can hold the complexity, but stay specific when needed. It doesn't mean that everything is the same tone and everything is the same. No, they all can be held in a much bigger space, and that world space that one can lives in, let's say, that determines how much of the polarization, because in the healing work, we often say, if there are two forces like inner conflicts, we cannot solve it by looking just at these two forces that are anyway stuck. We need to create a bigger space so that these two forces can integrate into a higher potential. And that's what I think good trauma therapy is about, that a therapist or a group creates a bigger space around the stagnations that are anyway there. And this helps us to open, or a good mediator is a space of consciousness that is bigger than the conflict. Because if it's smaller than the conflict, nothing will happen. Because there's no bigger consciousness that can be the integration space. So it will stay stuck.
Right. And somehow media keeps feeding that small model of like, oh, it's Russia versus Ukraine, is this or versus. And we are not informed, we're not given the whole complexity of what actually creates, makes us arrive at the point we are right now, what's happening with the war. Mm-hmm. So media is feeding that narrow way of perceiving life.
Which is simpler.
And I love what you're saying, that you can still make a stand, right? So it's not staying neutral necessarily in the face of injustice. We still make a stand, but we don't feed polarization. That's what I'm hearing, that's possible.
Exactly. I need to polarize when I cannot contain the situation, but if I can ground the situation in myself, I can respond very clearly. It's not to be fluffy, it's not to be everything is one and we are all disembodied one, and like this is not this, I'm not talking about that. And because spirituality sometimes lifts us out of, oh, everything is harmony, but when you hear it, when you listen to it, it has no body. There's no body to this, there is no grounding. But if spirituality is grounded, it's amazingly powerful, because it gives us discernment, it gives us clarity, concentration, love, compassion, care, presence. That's, I think, the power. That's why also we see the fights between activism and spirituality. Some people say you just do one or the other, and we need both. In an embodied spirituality, you have both. You're in the world, you're very effective. You don't need to be surrounded just by conscious people, because otherwise we freak out. That all of the pathology of the spiritual practice is going to be dismantled, the spiritual bypassing. But sometimes we need protected healing spaces to heal. That's okay. But we don't want to make this like a bypassing community of the real issues of our world, because otherwise we never address the real issues. There are real issues happening and they need grounded responses.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And I think that's where I see our current evolution.